This presentation is entitled Integration and Mobility for an Elderly Population, Siting and Design of Community Facilities for the Elderly by A. Savvides and R. Spanovi. Points of discussion. The proposal is for a concept of providing the elderly segment of the population with an enhancement of their places of socialization in the form of neighborhood community centers for the elderly. In these slides, we see the elderly as a subdivision of a population, and we also see the possibilities for interaction between the elderly and other members of the community. These centers are viewed as an integral part of a neighborhood's community infrastructure, and as such, they should be located in multiple locations in a city at regular intervals and frequencies. So in this slide, we see the everyday activities of the elderly as they transition from work, their home, to other activities, and the community support that they. And in the second slide, we see the distance that may be covered by this elderly population, and the frequency and distance and spacing that these centers should be located. The relationship between the distance that may be covered by an elderly person to reach any of these centers, either by walking independently or with assistance or with the use of specialized service vehicles, is examined. The diagrams show the possible locations within a neighborhood and the frequency with which these community centers should be located. The photographs show simulations of resting points along the way that service the catchment area of the population. This next slide shows the possibility from data taken from a neighborhood to check how many people may need specialized facilities and infrastructure, such as buses. These may be small community buses that may be veered away from regular scheduled routes to service the specific needs of the elderly population, and the possibility of using cell phone applications for the catchment area for the population of the elderly in a neighborhood is also examined to estimate the occupancy for this piece of community infrastructure. And here we see a breakdown between men and women, their possible range of movement, and we overlap this observation in a map of the area of study, looking at main routes as well as routes. In this next slide, within this catchment area, we see other possible infrastructures such as markets, churches, community centers, or parks. The program to define these centers is also examining ways in which it may provide this segment of the population with a one-stop shop for addressing some of their most basic needs in terms of services related to them. So when programming for the center, all these services may be accounted for, and they may be provided in this center serving the elderly. In this next slide, we see how these observations may be transformed from diagrams into architectural plans. Also important is the provision of themed and organized activities that may enhance quality of life and socialization amongst groups of the same generation, and also activities of an integrational nature. And we see here some of the spatial features of these activities. And in the next slide, a finished plan of how all these spaces are organized. Lastly, these centers are conceived as places where an elderly person may outsource some of their living spaces for individual or group activities, and as an effort of mitigating loneliness and exclusion of and for the elderly. These perspectives show the spatial features and character of the facility and the possibility for the elderly in these spatial conditions with a broader community.